My coffee isn't.
We're in.
We're
can-
in. So kudos to- We have an echo. Anyone else?
Oh, hold on.
Need to mute.
I gotta go back.
Have an echo. Anyone else?
Yeah, hold on. I have to get it. I gotta go back.
Have an echo.
Yeah, hold on. I have to get it. I gotta go back. Yeah, hold on. I have to get it.
Linda, put yourself on mute while we do this. Self on mute. Okay. So we are close. And I
Is it
think
okay now?
we're great now.
Nice. That was
Great.
infinity echo.
So good morning, everybody, and welcome to 1 Million Cups. We're all about presentations, connections, and sharing ideas. Next slide, please. So there are over 160 chapters of 1 Million Cups around the United States, all funded by the Kauffman Foundation. It's pretty cool when you think about it. In their respective time zones, typically on a Wednesday morning, entrepreneurs are meeting over coffee. Now, in the room today, we have a guy by the name of Coffee with a coffee cup that says coffee on it, which we established a couple of minutes ago. I think he really changed his name to Coffee just so he could do it as an entrepreneur. But the Kauffman Foundation is funding our ability to meet as a group because it is free. And it's powerful when you think about people across America focused on this great mission. Next slide, please. Please download the mobile app for 1 Million Cups. Please sign in. If it gives you problems, please delete the app, reinstall the app, and apply. Or, yes, please do that. I won't tell you to ignore it, but it is a problem. They recognize it. Please do sign in if possible. I guess you can check in on the website also. That would be helpful to us. We do an attendance report, but they love to know how many people were here. It helps in terms of funding. Next slide, please. So we have organizers and we have ambassadors, and we welcome your participation in both groups. Organizers meet Monday mornings for a half an hour. Probably 12 minutes is social and 18 minutes is business. And it's a wonderful way to connect with a great group of people. Ambassadors meet once a month. Their focus is bringing us presenters. We need presenters. If you'd like to present, some of you have presented, so which is awesome. But if you'd like to present or know someone who should present, we'll guide them through the process. An organizer works with each presenter in advance and tries to help build the connections. So reach out to all of the organizers or any organizer if you can help in any way. Next slide, please. Everyone can read this slide. It's an amazing group of people, and some of the folks who are in the room right now have been here longer than I, and, you know, hats off to them for sustaining the mission of the group. Next slide. Everybody knows this because almost everyone has been here before, but we really don't do pitches in this room. You can't ask for money. You can talk about what are good strategies to raise money, but you can't ask for money. You know, everybody talks about it's not networking. Okay, well, networking is superficial. The people in this room are not superficial, the folks I know in this room at least. And therefore, they're all about relationships. And I can give you countless examples how other folks I know in this room have helped other folks. So reach out to any of them, and I'm sure their ears will be open and they'll listen much more than they talk. Next slide, please. John Yu is here today. And so John, please, we have 2 sponsors every month. John is one of them. John, give us a few words about you and Office Evolution, please.
All right. Thanks, John. It's nice to meet every one of you. I'm with Office Evolution. We are a co-working space located here in Tyson's Corner. We provide fully furnished private offices as well as a virtual office space options for entrepreneurs and business owners. And we've been partnering with 1 Million Cups. We love supporting small businesses. And if you'd like to learn more about it, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, John.
Excellent. Dan Lender, is Dan in the room? I don't think so. Dan Lender is a co-owner of Golden Rule. They are our coffee sponsor today. So pre-COVID, we actually had coffee Wednesday mornings, and it was provided by a sponsor. We've kept the tradition going. So you can raise your coffee cup and congratulate Dan Lender. Dan's company watches over your home while you're away. His ideal client is someone who lives in multiple locations, one of which is Metro DC, and you go to Florida in the winter and someone needs to monitor the systems of your house, let alone physical security. But God forbid there be water damage. So that's their business, and Dan's been involved in 1 Million Cups, again, for a very long time. Next slide, please. Yeah, I thank everybody. I think everyone has their thing on microphone on mute already. You can read this, you know the procedure. Next slide, please. Leslie, can you go to, there we go. Okay. So David Gustitus is our presenter today, and we congratulate and thank you, David, for having the courage to stand up and tell us about your company and present a challenge, and then let us ask you questions and maybe some suggestions as to different things you can do based on that challenge. So you come from one of the core organizers, Jen Dalton, who contributes to this group all the time. So with great confidence, I can introduce David Gustitus as today's presenter. So, man, thank you very much. And with that, I'm turning it over to you. Whole Body Health Chiropractic. It's yours, man.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome, John, and the opportunity to be here, as well as the invite from Jen Dalton. The challenge, I believe, the best ideas he has to share this challenge to start. My biggest my way of rephrasing my challenge, instead of saying scaling impact, it's really, how do I help more people? How do I help more people with the services that I provide, with the training that I've had, experiences that I've developed over the past 19 years of being a chiropractor? Because, as the more I learn, the more I practice, the more I realize more people need what we offer. It's a natural approach to helping people to not only preserve and maintain their health, but also to restore their health, even in the face of complex health problems. So the couple of the areas that I'm looking at as far as ways to scale are, do I add more staff? Do I add more providers? Do I add more services, more hours, or more locations? And I'm trying to think through this next level after I kind of plateaued in my last practice that I just sold before I moved here. I plateaued for about 3 or 4 years, and I was trying to envision and trying to contemplate and strategize on where do I go next. So now that I'm opening this coming Monday, my new facility in Vienna, after having moved here, this opportunity to start off with a great vision and let's say perspective would be very helpful to me. Next slide, please. So how did I get into this? You know, I was pretty sick as a baby and as a child. I had really bad asthma. I had bad allergies. I had every cold and flu that was going around. My life, though, was transformed at about 4 years old when my mom decided to bring me to the chiropractor just to give it a try, because we had gone to the ER, we had gone to the pediatrician, and chiropractic adjustments transformed my life. I went on to play Division I soccer, which was not the vision that my parents had for me when I was so sick as a little kid. So chiropractic took me off of meds, kept me out of the ER. And because of that, I had great faith and confidence in what it could do for me. And then later on, I went through a big stressful time going through a divorce. This was 7 years ago, and that led to me developing autoimmunity. And I realized that there were shortcomings to the chiropractic care that I had received my whole life, meaning that neither my medical doctor nor my chiropractor were looking at me from a holistic whole body perspective, and hence my name, because I was developing imbalances in my immune system because of stress, because of toxins, because of gut problems, etc. And nobody caught and nobody found. So I decided I wanted to be that chiropractor, that healthcare provider that I would have needed 7 years ago or even before that. Next slide, please. So our timeline, we were founded this year, basically virtually a few months ago, but we're actually launching this Monday. And we're going through the final stages of getting approval from the county. Next slide. What problem do we solve? Yeah, we solve complex health problems, because autoimmunity is not an easy thing. It's not something that comes on overnight. And drugs really, they have powerful effects for the short term, but long-term suppression of the immune system, for example, does not lead to a balanced immune system. And surgery for disc issues, nerve impingement, poor posture, can it relieve some pain for a short term, or even solve that problem? Yes, but long-term spinal care with surgery or with drugs doesn't really lead to a stronger, healthier, more flexible spine. And so what we want to do is help the body heal itself with natural, non-invasive methods. Next slide, please. Most of our payments are from patients for our different services, including adjustments, rehabilitation, nutrition, counseling, and nutrition supplements. Insurance is a portion, it contributes, but as most of you know, insurance contributes for more acute level care and not ongoing wellness or maintenance care, which is what we promote, because why wouldn't you, in my opinion? Next slide, please. No content here. Maybe it's on. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. What do we offer? We offer an array of programs, spinal care adjustments that are, gentle, corrective in nature. We take care of preconception, pregnancy, pediatric care, which is one of my certifications, as well as wellness care, which is another one of my certifications. We try to take people through the journey of getting their health back and then maintaining it. We do some additional testing, like blood work, to find out, do you have underlying issues like inflammation, heart troubles, thyroid problems, etc., and then make appropriate nutritional and lifestyle recommendations. Next tab. Audience, typical patient for us is 35, 45-year-old, most like 52% female, 48% male. Often they're suffering from some kind of pain or inflammation. They have a lot of stress in their life, and their body's starting to break down. They're wondering, what do they do about it? Because they don't want to just keep plugging up the holes in the dam with another medication, because one after another. Okay, this is not fixing the problem. We're just covering it up, and they get frustrated and they come to somebody like me and say, "What's really going on here? Can you help?" Next tab, please. So we focus on root level. How do we get to the bottom of it? Next tab. And what's the differentiator for us? Well, okay, is every chiropractor the same? Well, I've gone through additional testing postgraduate to get certified also in chiropractic biophysics, which is actually the most researched and published technique in chiropractic in the top journals of spine related research in the world. And looks at the spine like an engineer would look. If you think of a bridge or a building structure, but biomechanics is the mechanics of a living, moving structure. And we have established norms of what a healthy spine should look like and how it should be shaped and how it should move, because that has direct implications on the nervous system, spinal cord, and brain function. And also I'm getting certified in functional medicine, which again brings in that holistic perspective down to the cellular and organ and system level to say, okay, how are your different systems working together? Let's test it and let's work with it from a natural lifestyle point of view. Next slide, please. And who is our target audience? So like I shared with you before, active women and mothers, often they're suffering from some type of pain, inflammation, etc. And so who do I target? Well, there could be mothers groups that we've done some talks for, but also we look at the same population who are working at a company where they sit and stress often, accounting firms, consulting firms, law firms, also parent groups where active people go, like gyms, soccer, football teams, and clubs, golfers, and even kids. And what channels we're using, basically social media, as well as in-person programs we do through our community outreach program. So half of it is digital, half of it is outreach, where we'll go and do a lunch and learn, or we'll do an on-site health screening, like we've been doing a lot of at different gyms. We'll set up a table and my chiropractic table, and I'll do screenings on site and check people and say, hey, is there's anything on your health list, that is challenging? How can we help you? Let's see if we can find an issue that would be something we can help you with, and then we make recommendations accordingly. Next slide, please. Some of our competitors, all except for one of these, Pure Chiropractic only has one location. The other two have multiple locations. They promote themselves as having more of a holistic or well-rounded approach. And I don't like to disparage other chiropractors, because I feel like we're all on the same team. But if I was going to differentiate myself from the other chiropractors, I'd say, well, we do have that additional certification in chiropractic biophysics, which it sets the stage for us doing more qualitative and quantitative pre and post assessments. So, we don't just embark on a journey to help somebody get rid of their headaches, but we also measure beforehand, how is the alignment of their spine affecting that? And let's measure down the road 1 or 2 times in their journey to do post checkups, follow-up x-rays, follow-up testing. And a lot of the chiropractors that I've talked to, including some of these chiropractors listed, they do not do either full spine x-rays, they do not do the analysis that we do, and they do not provide corrective interventional rehabilitation care to make those changes that can be followed up and tested down the road. And the other layer is the functional medicine piece, which none of them offer, as far as their expertise in nutritional guidance and lifestyle coaching. Next slide, please. So yeah, coming back to this question, yeah, in the last 19 years, I'm trying to look at how do I help more people? Am I limited by You know, the amount of energy that I have, the amount of time that I have with these two hands, put them on people during the week, and find that balance between work and life. But it never feels like enough. You know, it feels like there's more people out there who are going to bed, you know, scratching their head or frustrated, and even sad, praying for an answer. I was one of those people. I was one of those people as a child. I was one of those people 7 years ago, looking for an answer, saying, who's going to figure out what's wrong with me? And knowing that I have answers, I want to find ways to scale my impact through my own work, but also maybe bringing additional chiropractors on my team, or even opening up new locations. And my challenge is, what are the pros and cons of doing it different ways, and how to provide the same level of service, even as I scale? Because right now I tend to hold on to it, and hold on to the maybe control of the quality, because I want it to be done right. So I hope that's clear enough of a challenge to present, but that's really where I'm at right now.
David, I think that was excellent. Round of applause. I'm sure I'm speaking for the group. Thank you so much again. Now I get the opportunity to turn it over to Melinda, who's going to moderate our Q&A session.
Wonderful.
Thank you, John and David. Fabulous presentation. Something I personally understand really well, because I've replaced 2 hips and a shoulder, and physical therapy was really important. I wish I had thought of the chiropractic add-on, because it would have been really good. It probably would have given me a quicker way to get to where I am today. I can lift my arm all over, which nobody can do. My doctor, who has had a shoulder surgery as well, can't do what I can do, which is really funny. But anyway, the way this works today is everybody will raise their hand, either physically and or with the icon. You'll say your name, and then you'll ask your question. Make it brief so more people get a chance to talk. Don't ask another question on top of a question. And when you've got the questions, David, answer whatever you want to answer, share whatever you want to share. But remember that you want to get as many comments and ideas going on right now, because this is the time where people, our members, are going to have lots of suggestions for you. I don't see any hands up right now, so I'm just going to throw out one idea while I'm waiting for some hands to come out. Is because of my own personal experience, I almost see a marriage with physical therapists, because there are things that, and I watched, there were people that couldn't handle the physical therapy. They would just scream from the minute they were touched. And that would probably be another partnership type of thing. And I'm suggesting partnerships right now. John R., you are next with a question or comment.
Yeah, thanks. So all kinds of thoughts, because I could answer yes to your challenge questions with all its subparts and walk away. So one, that we have to narrow your challenge question, but to scale, which is your central question. My first question is, in your location to open on Monday, do you have a customer base? Well, you just moved here maybe, or recently moved here? Okay, so you're starting with a great reputation. You sold the practice in another location. Or do you have customers on day one, or you're open for business and this is it?
We do have customers on day one. We have been marketing pretty aggressively the past 2.5 months. You know, we're not going to be at the same level that I was where I just left off for a little while, but I feel pretty confident that we're on our way.
So in the professional services world, which is what you are in, and in your business, you sell time and talent as part of your product line. You also sell supplement or nutritional product. Both of those have different scaling strategies because time slots are limited. And in a way, you're the height of retail because when the mom can only come at 6 p.m. or can't come at 6 p.m., but could come at 8 p.m. or whatever, you have to have the more access. So you need leverage on the people side, which is other people. But to scale your business in terms of local segments that make sense, meeting the personal injury attorneys are a potential direct referral source that I've seen work for other chiropractors. So at the narrowest, to scale your current location as you figure out the answers to the broader questions. Appreciate everything you're doing, and I'm happy to ask more, but I want to let other people go.
Thank you.
Perfect. We've got 3 people waiting right now. We've got Ken, we've got Leslie, and then are you Kimberly or Kim? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Both.
Okay, cool. So we'll start with Ken, and then we will go to Leslie, and then we'll go to Kim. You're on mute.
I got it.
Cool.
Really good presentation about the scope of the things that you do for people. And I agree that by comparison to many of the other folks who operate under the brand chiropractor, you've got a much more broad set of offerings. I don't know the answer to your question, but I very much suspect that there are those who have the same professional designation as you do as a chiropractor who have solved this problem. And the reason that I know that is that I'm familiar with 2 practices, one on the North Shore of Chicago and one in Great Falls, where they have scaled up in different ways. One scaled with breadth, the other scaled with depth. And so I think that one of the best sources of solutions to your question of scale is to look for successful models within your profession. And so my question is, aside from evaluating your competitors, have you been looking towards your profession for examples of scaled practices that you might wish to emulate?
It's a great question. Yes, I have. And there's several examples. There's some who have 4 doctors working underneath them, and maybe that's the depth, right? And then there's some who start opening up different locations. Once they know they have a good franchise or prototype model, a la E-Myth, they say, okay, we're going to replicate this because it's a successful model.
I'm done.
Next, we have Leslie, and then Kimberly, and then John Foster.
Hi, David. I think I'm your target market. I'm a busy mom, 4-year-old. I need to get back to a chiropractor. But I would say one thing to definitely maybe think about including, especially since you're going after the mom market and they are going to probably have to drag their kids in tow, is to have a kiddie corner, something to distract the kids so the moms can actually let themselves relax. Because half the time I'm like, oh, don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't get out of there. Come back here. So if you can have even a second secretary that can kind of wrangle the kids while the mom's relaxing, that would definitely be helpful as a mom.
For sure.
Going for that service.
That's how we did it back in Wisconsin. We'll do it again. We have a corner designated for the kids already.
Yeah, perfect.
Wonderful.
Because my last place, the secretary was really good and I brought an iPad, but that would have been really good to have like a little station too.
Yeah.
That's my only comment.
And my assistant is a mom of a 3-year-old. So she
There you go. She's got it on lock.
Yeah,
perfect.
Thank you, Leslie.
Kim,
Hi, David. My nephew is a chiropractor and he works now for a practice where he was mentored over the years. Do you have any thoughts of putting together a mentorship program to develop talent?
Wonderful. I would love to. I love teaching and I love sharing what I do. So that would be a great way of, in my mind, since I'm, it's kind of like the second half of my career, I want to leave behind a legacy, as I move towards, my next, 10, 15 years of practice. I'd love to groom somebody to take over for me. So thank you. That would be a great idea.
next we have John Foster.
There we go. Hey, David, it's great to meet you and love what you're doing. And I'm wondering if I think a combination of education, because what you do, I think is, I'll say it takes chiropractic to another level, at least from what you're telling, from what you said. And so helping educate people around that. And it sounds like you're doing some of that. The other question I have for you is, what are you doing are you doing anything in the corporate market from a marketing standpoint?
So the first question, as far as educating, my main outlet for that is either digital through like YouTube or just making videos that we can put on our website. And then in the past, I've done Facebook Lives where I would just say, hey, everybody, who follows me, we're going to do a Facebook Live every Wednesday at 6. Ask Dr. Dave, come up with your questions. I'm going to talk about this, but if you have other questions, we'll answer those questions. And then in terms of another way of doing the education is outreach with workshops. We'll do lunch and learns, and that ties into the corporate approach, which is hard for me, especially in the new market. Like I should say it's hard. I don't know the strategy yet of how best to approach the corporations so that I can, like, who's the right person who would turn the key to say, yes, let's do a wellness program with Dr. Dave and have him come and do lunch and learns for us on stress or on sitting or on whatever, nutrition, something like that.
Great. All right. I look forward to connecting with you, David.
Likewise. Thank you, John.
Next we have Reggie, and then I'm going to take Justin because he's new with questions.
Yeah, David, great job with the presentation. I just had a couple of ideas. So in places like Vienna, McLean, Great Falls, like they often have farmers markets, and I think you'll find people that are in your target audience at the farmers market. And they also they have really robust community centers, and so I think getting in front of audiences in leveraging those places will help you get to more people more quickly, and people that at least get exposed to what you're doing. So if they go to a farmer's market on a Saturday, I mean, they are interested in like a lifestyle, and I think what you're offering people is not just a service, but an introduction to a lifestyle that will complement, your diet and what you feed your family and things like that. So, so I definitely think taking advantage of those sort of community-based opportunities will be great for you. And in this time that we live in, people are used to like collaborations and stuff. So I think also thinking about other professionals that you can partner with for small events, and maybe it's under your brand, but you're a presenter, you're bringing in other people that complement what you do really well, and creating your own sort of branded experience that kind of introduces people to what you're doing, and then it just becomes its own thing, and can help take your brand a little bit further. So those are a couple ideas I had.
Reggie, can I ask for a clarification on that idea? Do you envision that happening in my office where I would invite them in and then make a bigger invitation to have people come to the office, or do it out in the community or even at their place of business, or even at a neutral site like a community center?
Yeah, I think you'll probably get the biggest bang for your buck at a community center type place. But I think if it makes sense, going to your partner's location, or if you can accommodate in your space, bringing them into your space. But I think anything in the community that's sort of public facing and connected with stuff that people are already really familiar with will be a good look.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Next, we have Justin.
Just to follow up on Reggie's point, the McLean Community Center is fantastic. So you're in that area, check it out. But enjoyed the presentation. Welcome to the area. Vienna McLean is a dynamic business community, so I think you'll do well there. My question is, are you asking us how to scale when it comes to marketing and outreach, or are you asking the foundational business decisions you need to make to scale and staffing, office space, all those things to grow the business?
Yeah, I feel more confident in how to grow my customer base than I feel in making the strategic decision of where do I put my resources next? Do I invest my time and energy on bringing in new docs and go deeper in the same location and be open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Or do I say, you know what, this is a pretty good setup now. We're humming along here at this one location with me. I replace myself, or I just say, let's replicate and have a second one in not Oakton, but you know what I mean, like Alexandria. We'll just go 30 minutes away and open up a second one because that model worked. Those are, how do I reach more what in that given level of infrastructure or given level of space and overhead, right?
Yeah, how to direct your resources. Have you, so is your business team, is it you that's running the decisions when it comes to the money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered like a fractional CFO or some of those outsourced services that can really help you see where each dollar is and then kind of project the returns on those dollars?
No, I haven't, but that's a
Okay.
great idea.
Yeah, that's kind of where I might start.
Okay, so when you say fractional, does that mean just like a part-time or like a consultant basis?
Yeah, so they're basically, you're just outsourcing, instead of having a in-house CFO, you're just kind of outsourcing some hours from them as needed, on a project basis.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I can give you a good referral there if you open up a conversation. Just let me know.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're going on to round 2 of questions. I'm going to squeeze in myself at some point, but why don't we start with John and then go to Kim, Reggie, and Ken. And if it looks like we're running out of time, I'll ask the last question and I'll get my question in. Go ahead, John.
So, David, I want to pick up a little bit on Justin's vantage point. So previously we were narrow focusing on scaling on the marketing side, sales in one office, and your grander question first begins with your own strengths and limits. So you ask, are you the CEO or are you the practitioner? That's number one question to answer. And then the financial modeling becomes much easier because 4 years from now, you might be acquiring other practices and implementing your methodologies, which worked in Wisconsin and Vienna already. If you want to be the CEO who now is doing the billing and collecting administratively for 12 offices, who gave up that responsibility because you understand what's happened in medicine, right? Which is, more and more there are these major entities that own the medical practices, and the docs now work for the medical practices, and the young docs love the 9-to-5 aspect. So that's first your lifestyle choice and based on your strengths. And certainly over the first 3 years, you do some of both. So you have to have Ms. or Mr. Correct Person to replace you in Vienna before you could be in Alexandria, Reston, or North Carolina, wherever geographically makes sense based on your model.
Right.
But first and foremost, think through what role you want to play. Just do it over the next 2 to 3 years, because it's too long after that. Stuff changes.
Next, we have Kim, Reggie, and Ken.
Kim, you're
Kim, you're on
muted.
mute.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. One thing that I can see is to stay in one location, but because you like training and mentoring, how about offering training to other chiropractors to implement these other modalities, these other certifications that you have, the functional medicine piece, the nutrition piece. And that way you charge them, but they reach tons more people than you can do in a day. And you don't have the overhead, the massive overhead of multiple locations, which can be scary.
No, that's great. I'd like the idea of like a consulting type role. But I will say that I don't know a model out there that incorporates the two worlds of chiropractic biophysics, this more rehabilitative chiropractic style, and the functional medicine in a way that is doable for one practitioner. And so, it's something that as I grow into fully implementing them, I'm going to need other practitioners within my office. So I say that because I need to develop that model before I can teach it. But I would love to get to that point.
So before Reggie talks, that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up, putting together a certification program for other chiropractic offices around the country and building a network of certified practitioners that do the holistic medicine and taking the lead to launch that, which goes back to the other question. And I know there's got to be at least one, and there's a bunch of chiropractic trade associations, because that's a way you can reach everybody, get your message through, go to some of their conventions, their annual meetings, and learn what others are doing. You want to get onto things like Twitter and follow chiropractic offices, also on Facebook pages. Just like them and watch and follow, have somebody in your office, maybe watch social media on everything and see who's doing what, and have them give a weekly report to you and your team. Maybe it's something good for your assistant, utilizing people in place, or go find an intern in a local college that might be interested going down the path of chiropractic medicine or whatever, holistic medicine. And because they're young, they'll be able to get onto all the boards and see everything that's out there. Just a way to tie it together. And I apologize to Reggie that I came in before you, but it was a timely kind of comment. So go ahead, Reggie.
Sure, no problem. So just two quick things. One, share about this challenge, like online or with your confidants and things like that, because it's a common thing, and like people will, you don't know who knows how to help you, but I think don't just share it here in this audience is what I'm trying to say, because the more you put it out there, the more people can offer ideas that are helpful. And the other thing is, I don't know how much of your practice requires people to come to your space. I don't know if there's the opportunity to make a mobile unit that kind of provides the service to them in their space. That may be a way to sort of bridge the gap between I have this great facility now and I've got to create another one, because you want to I think for me, what's important is the experience. So how can you replicate the experience in office somewhere else? Does it have to be in that space, or can you replicate that effectively where the customer is? Just think through those things, because there may be an opportunity to bring the service to people where they're at, which I think people would value a lot nowadays, not having to go out of the house. So just a thought.
Thank you, Reggie.
Ken,
I'm back. I think your vision is extraordinary, and I really think that your goal of helping more people is great. If you look at some of the literature on decision science, you may be running into a problem. You framed your question in two ways. Do I grow a single location, or do I move to multiple locations? And it turns out that if the decision that you're trying to make is limited to two alternatives, the best decisions don't come out of that kind of decision structure. So I'd like to suggest that if you can, take some time and see if there are other alternatives that you might be able to throw in the hopper to evaluate. Creative thinking on third, fourth, and fifth alternatives may actually surface the best solution. With that in mind, I'm going to share some wisdom from a guy in North Carolina whose answer was always BOFUM. BOFUM, and that was North Carolina for both of them. That the answer to a situation where you have a choice between two alternatives is both of them. And then your only question is, well, which do you do first? Rather than going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between the two alternatives. So those are two items about decision making that I'd like to share with you. They are not consistent suggestions. And so I'll throw one more on the fire, which is wisdom is holding two conflicting ideas in your head at the same time without your mind exploding. And there you go.
That's awesome. Thank you.
thank you. I had a couple other questions. I'm just going to throw them out there. The certificate program I already talked about. I was wondering why you cut it off at women 45, because menopausal women and women as they get older. I mean, I hang out with garden club people and they all have so much pain. It's incredible that the 50 and above audience is another natural, but maybe you want to have different offices cater to different target audiences so that they have more of like-minded people around them, so that if you're 60 years old or older, you're not in there with a whole bunch of 20-year-olds and wondering what's going on. And that may be another way to do things with demographics. So my final question to you today is, what can 1 million cups do in addition to everything that we've done now? What can we do as 1 million cups to help you as you grow your business?
Boy, I feel like you've helped me tremendously. I'd rather ask, how can I help you guys back?
Is there any last minute one question or anything else that you want to share?
You know, I mean, I feel very like my pitcher, not my cup, but my pitcher is full, and I feel like I've got a lot of. I'm inspired and I'm stimulated with lots of ideas. So I'm really grateful. I think this is amazing. You guys are awesome.
So
thank you
Great.
for
So
being so
fabulous.
generous.
yeah, I
Let me
see
formally-
Kim with a hand up, so I'm going
Oh.
to take back over as MC and recognize Kim.
David, Melinda said you could share your contact information for us if we have other ideas. Can we reach out to you? Would you share that
Of
information?
course, sure.
Okay.
And you said the meeting will be recorded, right? So I can access this later.
You'll get a copy. You'll also get the chat notes, all the chat stuff that was put in.
Wonderful.
Since Jen was the one who prepped you for today's meeting, she's the organizer who has the responsibility, so you know where to find her. Hey, on behalf of 1 Million Cups, again, a round of applause. great comments from the group, great responses and presentation, David. You know, to pick up on Kenny Portnoy's comments, a third option might be to buy the practice of a retiring person who otherwise meets your need as a third option in the quest beyond both of them, right? Both of them. And yeah, because the third, fourth, and fifth often makes a difference. So with that, as we march towards 10 a.m., we have to move past this slide if we can, Leslie, to, yup, wow, happy Thanksgiving, which says we are not meeting next Wednesday. That's Rutenberg's reminder. The day before Thanksgiving, we are not meeting. Great, next slide. So earlier when we showed organizers and ambassadors, we mentioned that ambassadors help us find new opportunities. As you can see, starting November 30th and December 7th and 14th, we've yet to finalize presenters. We have a couple of great organizations in our pipeline, and Sarge Fit and Mr. John Foster will be representing Green Fair sometime in the very short term. But if, as you're out and about in the community and you meet someone who's got a business challenge, or maybe just starting the business, we love them to present. And if you can help us find presenters, we'll build a pipeline of applications in review and fill in the dates that are currently open. So it's a challenge we face all year long. And we, as a chapter of 1 Million Cups, we distinguish ourselves because we meet every Wednesday outside of holidays. Many chapters meet once a month or twice a month, or don't meet during the summer when we meet. So it's a challenge to find presenters, and please help us. Next slide, please. So we have upcoming events, and if you want for Central Fairfax Chamber, here's a great link. There's a wine tasting. Some of these groups like Central Fairfax and Fairfax Economic Development, I know Karen isn't here today, are our partners. And so by promoting their events and getting us to help them, it's just one of the ways we give back. I also highlight Donnell Johns couldn't be here today, but every weekend, there is the Veterans Business Pop-Up Shop. And if that's something you'd have interest in, please reach out to us. We can get you more information. Next slide, please. I pitched earlier, the only time you're allowed to pitch is when you're pitching for organizers or ambassadors. We need leaders, guys. We need leaders. If you'd like to be involved, David, you asked how you could help us, by the way. I'm not pitching you to be an organizer, but join us, be involved in our community. Come Wednesday mornings as a business person. Lend your business insights to the next presenter. That's what we need to make our chapter thrive and vibrant. New people, other people. I refer to my friends in the room. We need new people in the room to have new friends. So I plea that you join us and bring others. Being an organizer is a very small commitment based on the return on investment. First of all, coming here every Wednesday, I learned something that's relevant to my life. Forget Gustitus. I learned something that'll help me. And of course, I'm teasing, but in a most serious way, you get out much more than you have to put in. I promise you that. Next slide, please. One way to help us with outreach and to help us with our brand is put us in your social media, put us on your LinkedIn profile, put us on your Facebook page, tweet something about today. Some of you are already doing it, and I realize I'm preaching to the choir, so thank you very much. Next slide, please. Most important, thank you for being involved. We hope that it's valuable to you and appreciate that there are many networking events any of us could be at every Wednesday morning. And that you chose 1 million cups makes a bunch of people in the room very excited. And we appreciate you being here and devoting your time to our mission. So thank you. That may be the only time anyone says thank you to you in a whole week. So this can last till Friday at least. So I think that's the last line. And thank you to the Kaufman Foundation. Because they also are the structure that makes it happen. Okay, open mic, guys, right? Inside at 10. Save the chat.
If you close down the recordings.